picture with horns and a disk of the sun for above her forehead. The earliest known Arabian temple was a Marib capital of Sheba, was called Maran Biaku, precinct of the Queen of Sheba. In Arab lore, this queen was named Balku or Bakith. In Ethiopian, Makeda, or also Magda or Mukda or Makara, mean greatness. Years later, the historian Josephus referred to her as Nicalis, Queen of Ethiopia and Egypt. Remember, this Kendra is Hebrew. Kadar is Hebrew, word for black, meaning dark skin, not white, Arab, nor Chinese. Kadar. So anybody so call you Kadar, that means you black. Kadar meaning black skin. You'll find this in Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 21, Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2, Lamentation chapter 5, verse 10, Revelation chapter 1, verse 13 through 15, Hebrew chapter 7, verse 14, and the book of Joel chapter 2, verse 6. Read for yourself, Old Testament to the New Testament. Isaiah is also found in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 1 through 3, proclaiming Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sheba plus in chapter 45, verse 14. And Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 6 and 18, and verse 36. And also in Jeremiah chapter 13 and 23, when we're talking about the Kadars. Okay? And the genealogy of Jesus, the connection, it's Matthew chapter 1, St. Luke chapter 3, verse 1 through 38. So why did Jesus go to Egypt? Let's go back to Yeshua. Why did Jesus go to Egypt? Why did he have to fight? The prophecy of Jesus was being fulfilled. It was coming. The Son of God is coming. The Messiah is coming. The King of the Jews. But who is Herod the Great? And I was just watching a movie about Herod the Great. And Herod the Great was very evil. He even killed his own son. He killed thousands of his own people. And he was the most hated king, ruler. But yet, he was a manipulator. He hated in his own people with circles. But he was after Jesus. He was after the Messiah because he knew he was not going to have any competition who's going to be king of the Jews. You know, King Herod built great ports and great cities and great architects, but he was very corrupt. He was paranoid. He was really paranoid. So why? Let's go to chapter 2 of Matthew's. As I continue to share the push in the Bible. Now, chapter 2, verse 13 to 19. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, and saying, Arise, meaning get up, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. All right? And when he arose, he took the young child and the mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Amen. And I'm going to keep on. Let's keep on going to 19. Okay? So we have a better understanding. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceedingly wroth, meaning angry, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was well fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, or Jeremiah, saying, the Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning. Rachel weeping for her children and would not be comforted because they are not. But when Herod was dead, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream in Joseph in Egypt, saying, arise, in verse 20, take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel, for there are dead which sought the young child life. And of course, that was probably a period of time when it was safe to come back to Egypt. But here, this is an illustration from the Ethiopian point of view of Yeshua, fleeing the land of Egypt with his mother Mary, mother of Jesus, and Joseph, whoever the other person, Joseph right there, because Joseph was older than he, fleeing to Egypt. Oh, my throat is getting drier by drier. It's like, so it fulfills the prophecy. And this is from Matthew chapter 2, verse 13 to, I read all the way to 23. And it came to, actually 20, and when he heard that Archelaus did reign for Judea, the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go, and was standing being warned of God in a dream, and turned aside to the part of the Galilee. Okay, so you have to read the other chapter 2 verses to get an understanding, but they did return to Egypt because Herod the Great was dead. And according to historians and scholars, Herod the Great had died a horrible death, which he did, and he deserved it. But this is Yeshua in this way fleeing to Egypt. Why? Because the angel appeared to Joseph in a dream, telling him to flee to Egypt with Mary and his infant Jesus, since King Herod would seek to seek the child to kill him. In this case, this translation, to destroy him. And here's another illustration of Joseph. And they're riding a donkey, or mule or a donkey, at the time, taking them out of the land of Israel, Judea, from Bethlehem straight to Egypt. And here's the journey from Bethlehem to the southern, from Mount Darunka of Egypt. This is the only illustration I can find where they really mapped out the journey of Yeshua's family from Bethlehem to safety to Egypt. And at that time, Yeshua was out of reach. Herod could not go into Egypt. He was under Roman occupations as a whole, and Egypt was under the Roman occupation too. King Herod has no authority in that area. Okay? So there it was. This is why Jesus was taken to Egypt, because Herod was after Yeshua. Now, here's the thing. How did Jesus blend with the people of Egypt, the Egyptian people, especially the southern Egyptian, northern kingdom of Egypt, and the southern kingdom of Egypt? And it appeared that he was close to the southern kingdom of Egypt. How come Joshua, Mary, and Joseph was able to blend in with the people? Now, they were looking at anything if you know this, in those societies at the time, most people in the Kush were dark skinned. So how can you blend in unless you were dark skinned too? People with melon skin, especially when in the desert community and it's dry and the sunlight. I mean, you gotta have melon and nostrils to breathe, to control, to regulate temperature. Other than that, you will not. Most people have a real hard time adjusting to the climate. Going from a northern hemisphere where it rains, it snows, it's cold most of the time, and then warm summers. But you go right to the Delta, Nile Delta, and you go right into the through southern Egypt. I mean, that heat could be intense. And I know, like in Syria, temperatures can reach 135 degrees or 34 or 40 degrees Celsius, give or take. That's hot. I had to learn what Celsius is. So Jesus, of course, Jesus was born in Bethlehem in accordance to St. Luke chapter 2. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, which was called the city of David, fulfilling the prophecy. Jesus, the city of Bethlehem, and the city of David is one of the same city. Now, that you know that Africa is not Europe, is the major influence of the Word of God, you don't have to agree or disagree. Just check me out, guys. Do the research, dig deep, go deep. There's nothing too deep that God can't give you, okay? He will give you understanding if you want it. Just prove me wrong. Let's see on the next slide, and that's Yeshua. And that's Yeshua. And you see all these guys, disciples right here? Now, this is a painting, a picture of Yeshua or Jesus that a lot of people don't want you to see. But that's Jesus. That's an ancient picture. It's an ancient drawing of Yeshua in the crypto-Christian or Orthodox Christian view of Jesus. And that's his 11 disciples. You know, Judas, the betrayer, which is the 12th, is not in that picture. And this kind of picture is called icon. It's not an image, it's an icon. Here's another icon picture of Jesus. Yeshua, I'm sure. Holding the word of his Father and the word that he spoke. Blessing his apostles as they bow down in worship. Because he is King of kings, Lord of lords. His source will always be King of kings. And this is more of a more accurate depiction of Yeshua, Amashua, as far as the drawings goes. And one of the oldest drawings of him, of course, that's the more modern age of depiction of him from another picture. But that's Orthodox, nevertheless. Yeshua as a child and Mother Mary, Mother of Jesus, Mother Jesus, Iota, Eta, Sigma. And there is a symbol right there in Greek, Iota, Eta, Sigma, which also represents the Christ. Cairo. And you see all these letters, they all have a meaning. Greek letters. And some of you folks talking about Greek fraternities and all this craziness. Look at these Greek letters. And that's from the Orthodox side. Take a look at the Iota, Eta, Sigma. See? Iota, Eta, Sigma. On Yeshua. And see that the spirit, the glow that's upon him. the living God that will get upon him. And you see iota, eta, sigma. Jesus Christ. And his mother Mary. And you look at it, he hold his fingers. And again, iota, eta, sigma. Jesus Christ. Cairo. I know I'm going somewhere with y'all. An African. So whatever image that you're worshiping that doesn't look like this, you're worshiping the wrong image. You're worshiping the wrong image. For over 500 years, we've been given the wrong image. I mean, and the reason for that, because Pope, in 1492, Pope Alexander VI of Rome summoned Leonardo da Vinci to the Vatican to paint a sculpted biblical figure. Are you sure? I'm sure. Jesus Christ. And Leonardo needed a model. The Pope had a son named Caesar. Of course, Caesar. Caesar was said to many to be handsome and comely figure. Of course, he was pale skinned too. So Leonardo used Caesar, which is the son, which is not unusual for a pope to be married. And I don't know why the 14th century pope, 15th century pope made it illegal for a pope or a priest to be married, which is ridiculous because it goes against Genesis chapter 1, Genesis chapter 2. But the Pope had a son. It was common for a Pope to have a son. In the last 600 years, we couldn't have one. So Pope Leonardo used Caesar as the model of Christ, because Caesar Burgas was the second son born to a Pope, Alexander VI. My brothers and sisters of all humanity, please open your eyes. You're worshiping an impostor. Let your spirit eye, your spiritual eyes see that God has blessed you with, and use them. That the description of Yeshua is not the one that you look at when you go to Mass. And there are hundreds of false images of Yeshua, Christ, Messiah, throughout the world. And unfortunately, believers of all nations worship these false portraits of Christ, not knowing these are images were painted in the middle and late 1400s by the order of Pope Alexandria in Europe. Christ's lineage and described in Revelation is clearly the opposite of what people were falsely taught of the Messiah. This is 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 the Messiah. And there's wise men. It didn't say how many wise men, but the illustration shows 3, but it says wise men. That's what the word says. It didn't say 3 wise men. Maybe we couldn't fit more than 3, but it says wise men. And of course, you're showing Mary wrapping Yeshua in swaddling clothing in a manger. And there's Joseph. Joseph was an old man. God the Father made it perfectly clear that name is to be not to make any graven images or draw images of anything related to heaven. And yet many people have done so. This image is acceptable because you want to tell the story. But it's not an image to tell the story, but not to be bowed down to. Because when you bow down to an image, then you're bowing down to images. Because Jesus Yeshua did not have blonde hair and blue eyes, as Adolf Hitler, the man with the mustache, wanted, or the Aryan nation. Did you know that the Aryan nation that the Nazis wanted to be were all dark-skinned? And the swastika the Nazis used as a symbol comes from India, which is the nation of dark-skinned people. Did y'all know that? The swastika is from India, and it's also Native Americans use the swastika. But the one that Adolf Hitler adopted and drawn is the most hated symbol in the world. Swastika in itself is not bad. It's just the one that the Nazi Party used, just like the star, the hammer and sickle, and by itself is not bad. But when you add the hammer and sickle and the star of communism, that's what makes it bad. It's just as bad as Hitler. And I don't know why social media doesn't ban that illustration. You can't ban one and have the other, but they're both evil. 7 million people dead each. You know, over millions of Ukrainians starved to death and were kicked out of their homes and their farms by collective farming. But that's Yeshua at his greatest. This is Yeshua. King Solomon keeps saying he's as black. I am black. And that's Yeshua. Again, the journey of the family to Egypt. They're blended in with Egypt, not sticking out. I must have this twice. Okay, I must have really outdone myself. All right, so the Journal of Virginia Chapter Fellowship of St. Moses the Black, because Moses is black, and a lot of Ethiopian Orthodox looked at Moses as a black man. Did you know that? Now here is a picture of Yeshua HaMashiach at 792 AD. Over 790 years, over 790 years since the time of Yeshua raising from the dead. That's Yeshua, the Christ. Here's the website. And that drawing right there was done you can tell by Roman style because they usually put artwork on the ground. That's what I'm saying. I can't remember to use shells to make art. That is Roman style. And that is Yeshua. That's Yeshua. Well, that's not important. Yes, it is. It sure is. It's just as important as regions, just as important as culture, just as important. It is very important. It makes it whether spiritual, yeah, it's spiritual, but it's just as important because if you take the contents of the originality out, then it's not true. You're lying. And we've been lied to for years. I don't have a picture of you except for a dark-skinned Jesus, Yeshua. That's all I have. Because I knew the truth a long time ago. The Bible Revelation tells you how he looked like. So guys, I encourage you, we're almost done, to dig a little deeper. Look up every ancient photograph of Egypt prior to the 1400s. Prior to the 1400s. Look up every ancient markings and drawings of Moses. You'll see he's a black man all day long. Cushite, a descendant of Cush, a descendant of Ham. Jesus is a descendant of Ham. Okay? He is a descendant, he's a Cushite. His family, the generation of Pharaohs, are Cushites, people of color, Africans. Every last one of those folks, all the way up to the mountains of Alan, are Africans. And that's how the Bible describes it. From the Nile River to the Euphrates. That's how Israel is supposed to be. At least to Egypt. The Red Sea. But that's how it is. And that's the true territory of Israel. But I want to share some other things with you. I want to share with you, there's some more picture of Yeshua on the cross being crucified on the tree. More pictures of him with Mother Mary. Russian Orthodox picture of Yeshua, very dark skin. Look at his hair. Cairo, Isus, Iota Eta Sigma, Jesus the Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. I think I can make out Slavic language, Greek, because I started to study Greek and Hebrew. And it's 3 letters, just like doing Greek with fraternities and sororities. Everybody babbling on your back. Keep your eyes on the prize, now on the letters. Keep your eyes on the prize. And that prize is Yeshua HaMashiach and his goodness. Stop looking into these false images. Stop carrying around these false images. Stop looking. You stick to the scripture as described of Yeshua